Hey, cunts, don't forget to click the subscribe button.
You got to hit him 4 or 5 times. Remember, he said, some people I hit with a sledgehammer. Remember, he's the one that's got to be hit with a sledgehammer. And but this doesn't work any different with any ethnicity. They're all the same. Because all the ethnicities now have no balls. 100% of the people that you're going to come in contact with have no balls. 0 balls. And you have 0 balls, so that's what you're afraid of. But they have less balls than you. Where I come from, you guys wouldn't last past your 15th or 16th birthday. Where I come from. No fucking way. But now, so you don't have to worry. And back in the 90s when I first started seminar, there were still people with balls. There were still people with balls. We had no webinars. None of this shit. No mentor program, no homework, no nothing. The only difference is we took your cell phone away from you and we locked you down for a week. That's the only difference from then and now. I mean, the physical, because we didn't have the separation stuff, but I mean, we took your cell phone and we unplugged all the house phones in the castle and around the estate so you couldn't talk to anybody. That's the only difference. Now, some people say that was the difference. But we cover now probably 3-4 times more material now. And the internet was only at its infancy. So Google and that stuff. Now you can Google fuck this stuff and get all the information you need. For those of you, like, I used to be able to work 3 or 4 days, no sleep. Drinking like a fish, fucking. Drinking like a fish, fucking. Now, if you can go without sleep for 2 or 3 days, and I'm not suggesting you do this, because I don't want anybody to get hurt or sick or, you can have all the work done in a week. 100%. Now, listen, see, are we getting their face, Cat? You look afraid. I know why you're afraid. Because, well, Mr. Peña's talking about all these people, but I'm not. He's an attorney. God, he must be smart. It's just like all the excuses you made about why Josh was successful. You always got a reason why those guys are successful. Well, Josh was a child prodigy. Prodigy, is that the right word? Prodigy. He was a child prodigy. Not. They still say that? Not, at the end. Not. I remember the first time one of my kids said, whack! Who taught you how to speak English like that, you little shit? Because they were into that not at the end. Or, whatever. I'll give you whatever. Bam! That's whatever, you little snothead. That's what they should have done to you. Especially you. And the fucking Algerian thief in the back. And all the other people of that persuasion all know I'm saying the truth. How did you know that, Mr. Peña, that everybody's a thief from Algeria? Because I've been there. I'll start on you tomorrow, don't worry. It's not, of course, it's not, as long as it's not me, everybody's saying, as long as it's not me. Gerard is, okay, takeaways from Gerard. Comments? Yes, sir.
It says that QLA has become his default, which is the state we aspire to get, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Well, it has. And for Marcus Bauer, he doesn't know anything other than this. These guys, and I talked to one of the 3 Germanic super successes, and he's had his kids on QLA since they're 3 and 4 years old. You're going to see some kids, 6 and 9 years old, in a couple days. That are being taught QLA by their father, successful father. But his wife called and sent me emails, can you please release my husband from the cult? And I get that kind of shit all the time. What else about Gerard? Yes, sir.
Get the first deal over the line and talk like you own the place and get the job done.
Well, And talking like you own the place will be difficult for most people because you're introverts. But I mean, Zuckerfucker's an introvert. Bill Gates is an introvert. Elon Musk is an introvert. Why not you? Why not you? In the back, yes, sir.
He mentioned the importance of also buying assets in the deal.
No, we're going to talk about asset purchase versus stock purchase. Yeah, and he really is miscategorizing what he bought because he doesn't know. Yeah. And he's done 4 deals and he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. None of these guys know what the fuck they're talking about, but they're doing deals, and they're a lot richer than anybody in this fucking room. All your life you've been taught that you're supposed to know what you're talking about, right? How has that program worked out for you? Yes, sir, in the back. Well, it's not all about, but it's you have a higher chance of success sooner if you've got the gift of the gab. Being able to articulate what you want. Yes, sir.
Even though he's a ex-mob lawyer, he still had
he's still a mob lawyer.
He had his comfort zone. You know, the Italians and the family, and then he fell into the garbage.
Reached out to, just like you reach out to where the barrier to entry is the lowest. That's where you're going to reach out to. Even though I've said, by the time you leave here, I will have said it 100 times. You're still going to reach out to where the barrier of entry is lowest. Irrespective. I told this fucking fondue, fucking Chinaman, half-ass Chinaman back here, not to let the chairman put people on the board. Did I not? Yes. And what did he do? Slant-eyed cocksucker that he is. Because it was easier. And whenever they say, but I know, they fucked it up. And even though I jump up and down, I don't want to jump up and down too much on my artificial knees, you're going to do it too. Because it's the easiest. It's the easiest to stay with that old flabby-ass hag that you sleep with every night. It's easier, isn't it? Of course it is. I can prove to you without a shadow of a doubt, 50% of you in this room are accidents. Not because you're 7 years apart, brother and sister. No. You go home and you ask your dad, not your mom, because I have more respect for your mothers than dads. Dad, was I on purpose? And the universal this means you weren't. And then, oh, well, fuck, no wonder they treated me this way. That, coupled with the fact that you just got married somebody to get your willy wet, because you couldn't buy a piece of ass, I don't, rock stars didn't get laid as much as I did. Fucking Mick Jagger himself. I've got a mentee, Jason Capital, who teaches people how to get their willy wet. I did a gig for him a couple years ago. You would have thought Jesus Christ or the Beatles walked in when I got there, because I've been laid more than rock stars. And they pay him between $40,000 and $3,000 a month so he can teach them how to get their willy wet. I said, are you fucking kidding me? I said it on the Joe Rogan program, for those of you. And Joe Rogan said, that's a goddamn mortgage payment. He says, let's go tour the world, Dan. We could charge them $100,000 a month how to get their dick wet. That's where the world is. That's where the world is. What else about in the back? That's seller finance. That's no money down houses. Remember, we're not going to involve a bank. It's, instead of saying the banks aren't lending, which is exactly accurate, the banks are scrutinizing the credits more, which is true. And they will then connote that into, well, they won't lend to me as soon as they scrutinize. So some of you have got bankruptcies in your background. Some of you have gotten poor credit score. Is that credit scores, right? Okay. I don't have a credit score. I'm an enigma. Because about 3 years ago, they said that they wanted to know what my credit score is. I don't know. Let's check. 0. Not because 0, because they have nothing. Because I haven't taken a paycheck since 1992. I mean, but even the people that have low credit scores, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Now, if you went bankrupt last week, it matters. But if and you don't have to wait the 7 years. That's a myth. That's all horseshit. I mean, if we can get double murderers doing deals, I mean, Jesus Christ. But he had a good credit score. He did. He had a good credit score. Cuban kid. Okay, what else about, yes, sir. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, we used to go, I know who's going to do the first deal in this room. I know who's not going to do a deal in this room. Ever. It's not for everybody. There's no shame in not being able to do a fucking roll-up. You're not, Brian Rose called me a Neanderthal. And I'm probably the last alpha male Neanderthal left on the planet, or something like that, some words like that. Well, if you go back and do a little research, Neanderthals had brains 20% bigger than Homo sapiens. 20% larger. And my brain is bigger. And I have the Neanderthal 13th rib. I have an extra rib. My daddy had an extra rib. We don't know about his dad because his dad died during the pandemic of 1918. He never saw his dad because his dad died during the Spanish flu or whatever the fuck it was called. But in Neanderthal days, how long, when an attractive woman walks in the room, how long does it take guys to tell her she's attractive? Instant, right? Instant. Well, back in the old days, you saw some cave guy walk by with a chick, you just hit the motherfucker in the head and took her away, right? What happened? The Brits used to control 2/3 of the world with something called gunboat diplomacy. A majority of the wealth on this island is derived by slave trading. We know how to do it. And so I am a Neanderthal. I mean, and I'm a vindictive motherfucker. I am. So was Hannibal. I'm not talking about Hannibal Lecter either in the movie. I'm talking about the real Hannibal. What else about Gerard? Yes, sir.
I just got a question. Why is he staying on businesses less than $1 million?
Because those are the only ones that he initially found. And all the big hospitals, the big pet hospitals are owned by private equity. He did well. I mean, right now he's doing about 60% seller finance. And we're going to show you a formula that doesn't work 100% of the time, but it works almost 100% of the time. And especially works well under the new Corona era. But we're ahead of ourselves in that. And we're going to see when you buy a company, ABC company that was capitalized in New York City, hair grooming place. You're buying all the past liabilities, the current liabilities, and the future liabilities because you're buying the stock. When you buy the assets, all the past, current, and future liabilities you're not interested in because you're not going to get those. You're only buying you're only buying the shit that's producing the money. And But some deals, can't get done unless you do them in a stock format. I don't recommend the stock format because I don't want you to have past liabilities. But we want the assets that produce, and the assets aren't always hard assets, like he was describing his X-ray machine and some shit like that were worth so much money. Okay. Contracts that aren't hard assets. I would rather have a dog grooming contract with the Plaza Hotel in New York City that's 5 or 10 years old. So there are different kind of assets. There's hard assets, which are machines like equipment. And there's contracts with the federal government, there's contract with the state government, there's contract with local municipalities, et cetera, et cetera. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Every day you're going to hear somebody that's doing Corona deals today. Gerard, and we didn't get new ones because these are only 2 weeks old. So tomorrow we got another Corona, and then the next day we got a Corona, and then the next day we got a Corona, in addition to the other people that have done deals. We're going to get the Viking bitch, 6'2", 225. This is 6'2", 225 female. Twisted Steel and Panther Piss. I hope you're watching this. We're going to get, who else do we get live? Andreas, the current Nazi superstar. He was slow. And he will tell you, he will walk you through every detail of every single day, what he accomplished every day, and he memorialized it like a good prisoner of war camp person. And then who's the other one? Oh, Thomas Maguire, the other superstar, who has $6 million in EBITDA in a year. Do you understand how that's impossible? Huh? No, he's got $6 million in EBITDA in less than a year. And you put a multiple, whatever the multiple, you put 10, 15, 20. It's impossible. But we got a lot of kids doing impossible shit. Because we set up high expectations. And right now, your expectations of you, my parents only had one, and when we talk about goals and affirmations, the penultimate day, the day before the end, my parents only had one goal for me, to keep me alive till I reach the age of reason. Not get through junior high school, not get through high school, not, God knows, university. Keep Danny alive until he reached the age of reason. They didn't know if that was going to be 20, 30, 40, or 50. Just before my birthday, I talked to one of my cousins who's 5 years my senior. She's 80. And we were talking about me as a youth. And he says, well, we weren't sure you were going to make 15. Live to 15. And I sure as fuck tested it. God almighty. I had a death wish. A legitimate death wish. When I went off to the military, everybody knew I wasn't coming back. You couldn't find anybody that would give you even odds that I would get back from Vietnam. Zero. Because I've had a death wish since I'm a little kid. Trying to compete with my father. Well, here I am. Here I am. And you don't have to have a death wish. All you have to do is use the circumstances, the environment, as Gerard talked about. They're not immoral, and not unethical, not illegal. You show them leadership and they will sell to you. But but he was telling the truth. It's not easy to turn a new leaf. And see, subconsciously, you've already killed your dream. Subconsciously. This is kind of, we're the last town, the earth is flat. We're the last town on the precipice of the flat earth. We're the last town, the last saloon on the precipice. If you don't make this work, you're through. You all know that, so don't bullshit me. And next year, the prices, if I give them seminar, they're going to go up. I'm going to continue to raise the prices of the seminar till we get no buyers. You're right. You're absolutely right. We have what is called here in Econ 101 inelastic demand. There is no limit. The fucking meathead mooch, snowflake cunts will pay. There's no limit for being saved. Yes, sir.
Death wish. Do you think that helps close deals with
Yes.
people? Yeah.
I'm going to teach you the famous takeaway close. Takeaway close is you slam your briefcase together. Well, anyway, you slam your shit together and you say, watch this, Persian fucker. Fuck you and the horse you rode in on. You can take this deal and shove it up your virgin sister's ass. And you walk out the door. Yeah, it works not every fucking time, but almost every fucking time. I say, one of my Hall of Famers, double Harvard degree, which means nothing, he says, Mr. Peña says things that we even are afraid to think. You've all wanted to tell somebody, fuck you, asshole, right? But you haven't. I don't get ulcers, I give ulcers. I don't get heart attacks, I give heart attacks. I don't get strokes, I give strokes. Do you think President Trump gets ulcers or has high anxiety? No. Do you? Yes. Do your parents? Yes. But once you get over the mental obstacle, which is a speed bump in life, but you think it's Mount fucking Everest, once you get over that, this is easy fucking peasy. And when you talk to Andreas, and you listen to Andreas in a couple of days, and in a methodical way that only the Germans can do, or Germanic people, 1,613 calls. Marcus Bauer says that last year he worked 11.4 hours a day average, 7 days a week, 365. And he can tell you every minute of every day where he was, which is part of the weekly reports if you use them. Most the meatheads that got the information from March didn't use them. I can tell just by the results they didn't use them. So why would you want to hold yourself accountable that you failed today? There's 67 or 68 things that questions. And if you didn't do it, you say, I cunted out. I know nobody in this room did that. I cunted out. No, I didn't. You don't say, no, I didn't do it. Or no, I cunted out. Because I want you to see that you're a cunt. A worthless piece of shit that should have rolled down the inside of your fat mama's leg. And when you see that week after week after week after week, you either do something about it like Gerard or just resign yourself to being a worthless piece of shit cunt. And I'm not telling you like the other guys that it's easy, because it's not. But it's the only game in town you don't need any money. I was pissed off when he put up the 10 grand. Because if he had negotiated harder, but he was afraid of losing the deal. Because even a ballsy guy like him is, oh, fuck, I don't want to lose the deal. And that's why if you want to make a bad deal bad enough, you do a bad deal. Yes, sir.
He also said that his first deal was a bad deal, and
yes, with an Egyptian. I don't want anybody to miss that.
And he needed to make a second one.
Well, we know you're not Egyptian. I mean, I think everybody can guess what part of the world you're from without, and the Middle East isn't one of them. Jawohl, mein Herr. Okay, go ahead.
Jawohl. So he bought a second business to move right back into.
Correct. And when you see big companies make 2 or 3 acquisitions in a row, you see that every once in a while. It's because the first one got fucked up. And before they have to report the earnings, they want to smooch a couple other deals on top of it, so you lose focus of where the real fuck up was. That's the oldest game in town. Correct.
And would have been it better that he just get rid of.
No, what he's got his Italian pride, his Sicilian pride. You know, all these deals you're going to do aren't just based on numbers. Your wife, oh fuck! I mean, what are you still doing this? And then, when the skag that you sleep with, oh, don't touch me. A lot of smiles on the faces there. A lot of smiles. Of course it would, but he just smooched it in there. I mean, Marcus Bauer broke my record last year. I did 22 deals decades ago, and he did 23 deals in 2019. Of my 22 deals, when I was doing that string of deals that were a record for a long, long time, there were 3 or 4 deals I shouldn't have done probably. But once you get an acquisition team on a roll, it's like feeding meat to a lion. I mean, they want to be fed a couple times a day. So if you're not doing at least 1 or 2 deals a month, they leave you. I'm not worried about your board leaving you. I'm more worried about the acquisition. Once you have a team and you have a team that reports up to the board that is an M&A team versus an acquisition, those are the guys that you should worry about leaving you. And they leave and they're not getting paid. Because a good M&A guy worth his salt can make a minimum, even in this, $1 or $2 million a year. Minimum. And if you're not providing the deals that support the cash bonuses to them, pro rata to that amount, they're going to leave. They will flat ass leave. Anything else about Gerard? Yes, sir, in the back.
His chairperson was also his mentor.
Well, no. Ideally, there's no perfect world, right? Ideally, in a perfect situation, you want your chairman to be your mentor. Not your chairman. You already fucked it up. So I know what you're going to ask me, you fucking asshole. Don't ask me. It's beyond repair. It's beyond. You only have you have 2 times to make a first impression. One, when I look at your sorry asses, I have a visual concept of who you are. And then when you open your sorry fucking mouth. Most of you couldn't give away sex to drunken sailors coming off being at sea 5 years. Everybody understand that? Why do you think the hookers, the prostitutes, stand on the street corners with their short, I guess they still, I haven't seen that, with short skirts on, and then when you drive by slowly and you roll down the window, of course you're not interested, you roll down the window and you're from the driver's side, right? Now in the Britain, you're on the other side of the street. And then they say, you're looking for some company? Why are you even driving your car down there? Not by accident, is it? And now they tell me there's an app for escorts in Edinburgh. A couple of the guys, a few seminars ago, before, I don't know about COVID now, they say casual sex is dead. That's what the doctors say now. Casual. I said, what do you smoke? What are you smoking? What possibly? This is some 66-year-old doctor who's had a stroke and he's got one nut that's sucked up into his body. Casual sex. Casual sex is never going to be dead. I've got mentees that get sucked off under their desk twice a day. Sucked off under their desk twice a fucking day. God damn, Dan, how did you know how that was so good? I don't know, just a lucky guess, I guess. But I refocus. I got mentees living the life that you dream of. Nothing like a blowjob in a jet plane when the jet plane's upside down. And the sperm floats to the not the roof because you're upside down, floats to the floor. This is the real world. But Sally has a leash on me. It's electronic. You can't see it. She jolted me. And she's not a flabby old ass like most of you sleep with. Anything else about Moroni? Okay. Now, starting tomorrow, we're going to go through step by step, and we're going to start a day early. Normally, I don't start it to the third day, but we're going to talk about building the board and how you do it. Because, and again, I tell all the groups are stupid, but I have a feeling that and I'm going to give you the benefit of the corona, but this is a slow group. And if the homework doesn't, I'm telling you, I'm not bullshitting about this. You will get your ass thrown out if you don't take a homework more serious tonight. Because based on tonight, I throw, except for 3 or 4 of you, I throw you all out. Some of you thought it was a joke. I'm not laughing. Because I'm going to now, the slides I would have not shown tomorrow, I'm going to show tomorrow based on your homework from today. So we're going to start the board a little early. So maybe you've been rusty, been jerking off in front of the your laptop during the 6 months or whatever during Corona. So subconsciously, you've accepted your shame. Most don't have the balls to say they have no balls, even if they know it categorically. Most cover their inadequacies up with jargon that is popular at the time or mere platitudes. But based on my high performance in 7 decades, having no balls is mostly masked by procrastination of one sort or another. Moroni said it a little differently. I can't imagine as a young kid where I came from. I mean, I would have gotten beaten to death. I mean, I can't imagine what had happened to me. I just can't. It's beyond my comprehension. And now, it's just the opposite. And look where we are. Now, you probably missed this. How many of you live in the UK? Okay, just a couple. The Bank of England announced that whatever your gurus... Britain nearly went bust in March, is the bottom line. And hardly anybody noticed it. The Bank of England made a fucking biggest announcement, but who listens to the Bank of England? Nobody. It came a cunt's hair close to going bankrupt, the British government. They were ill-prepared, just as ill-prepared as the U.S. was in most countries. What were your gurus telling you to do? I told you the tsunami was coming, blah, 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 blah. And I'm here to tell you it's going to get worse. And when I tell you, I'm telling you what the Lord knows. It's going to get so much worse, it's going to be unfathomable. Yeah, you first. You got a question? Is this a Persian kind of question? Is this an Ayatollah question? Oh, okay. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. It's oh God, it's over. You fucking poor saps. Yes, sir, in the back.
So similarly, in March, the stock market dropped 30%. When you say it's worse, do you think it will drop again?
Oh, yeah. I've got a Malaysian doctor, retired from the Malaysian Air Force, medical doctor who practices medicine in Australia. To say that the QLA methodology was outside his comfort zone would be an understatement of biblical proportion. Really made him feel uncomfortable. And he had trouble, and he couldn't find, he wanted to find people that he knew he was comfortable with to be on his board. Okay. But the one thing he did do early on is he sold his stock and property portfolio. In between about June and October of 2019. All his stocks, all his bonds, all his buildings and shit. And he wrote me, he says, God, Mr. Peña, I mean, you saved me millions. And now, you know, I have the confidence to go forward with the model. And now he's rolling up shit in Australia. It doesn't matter why I know this shit's going to happen. All I know, you know, how come I'm the only guy on the planet that was preaching oil could go negative? In March, when you were here, I said $5 oil and maybe even negative, right? You all laughed at me. You looked at me like I was a crazy old man. Do you know how much, you have any idea how much money you could have made if you went short the contracts? Do you have any idea? Hundreds of billions. Hundreds of billions. And oil went to $34, $41 negative. Well, you ain't seen nothing yet. How many of you have a little retirement plans? Or I don't want to demean. How many of you have retirement plans? Nobody? You might as well burn them. Give them to a charity or give them to a hooker. Give them to somebody. Okay, anything else about Maroney or anybody? Okay. Yes, sir.
He said his chairman, he gave him 20%. Is that the only person he has on his board?
No, because, see, he doesn't, he's really simply articulate. No, he didn't even explain that right. No, he's got all the other people too. No, he gave the chairman 20%. And I get 19%. I don't want to be anybody's chairman, but I get 19%. And but I mean, it's normally you're going to give away about 30 to 35%. And normally you won't give the chairman 20. Normally you'll give the chairman 10. But he followed the model. He didn't explain it right. See, nobody that you've heard so far knows what they're talking about. But they've all done better than you. Does everybody understand that so far? So make sure you go out and read another book. Listen to another podcast. Maybe the podcasts, when they're in Arabic, sound different. I don't know. I've never listened to one. I know they have them. Maybe they sound different. Oh, no, please.
So you charge 19% for being a chairman?
I don't charge, no, they give me free founders equity 19%.
So you become a chairman of that roll-up or?
Yeah, correct.
Can I do that the same?
No, I don't want to be chairman. I don't want to be chairman of anybody, especially this group. This is the next tsunami coming. The government deficits. This is the next one. As usual, the U.S. is right up on top. Canada, France, UK, Italy, Japan, Germany, even the emerging, well, I don't consider China an emerging country, but anyway. If you speak Portuguese, when you leave this seminar, fly directly to Brazil. Don't go home to your families, abandon your families. If you speak Spanish, I used to say go to Cuba. I don't do that anymore because I believe Trump, especially if he gets reelected, again, drop the hammer on fucking Cuba. If you speak Arabic, you take a plane directly to Saudi, the kingdom. Never come back. Abandon your families, everybody. There's going to be 1,000 billionaires made over Neom, city of the future, for the 22nd century. So yeah, 22nd. This is 21st century, right? Yeah, 22nd century. In the old days, if you spoke Russian, when the wall came down in 89, was it 89? Yeah, 89. Go to Russia. But you don't. Because from chaos comes order. If you speak French, Haiti. But nobody goes. Well, I mean, most of you, you pretend to speak English. You write like you're illiterate. Now, I've learned to accept, in the 90s, people wrote better than you do now. But most of this, most of you, the homework I got is 5th, 6th, 7th grade writing. Now, I'm not bullshitting. 5th, 6th, 7th grade writing. You wouldn't know a dangling participle if it bit you in the balls. You wouldn't know a split infinitive if it bit your white or your skag in the tit. So you look, I know you don't even know what I'm talking about. It's called sentence structuring. 1963, supposedly, in the United States, studies have proven education peaked out in 1963 in the United States of America and has been gradually going down ever since. I graduated from high school in 1963. A high school education from 1963, a diploma, is equivalent of 2 years to 2.5 years in college today in America. But I know what a split infinitive is, and I know what a dangling participle is. And education will continue. Now, I taught a university 20-some years ago. I was embarrassed. I taught an honors class. I was embarrassed. And I asked the dean, Dean Hosick, are these the people that lost the... No, these are your students, Mr. Peña. No fucking way. And now they write even worse. And you know, even a few of you that are educated, you don't write worth a shit. How can that be? That you write at 5th, 6th, 7th grade? I can tell nobody's ever told you that, have they? Some of you write like a 3rd grader. How is that possible? Because the educational system's gone to shit, that's why. Now, I'm going to let you in on a couple, I'm going to talk some more about that. I want to make sure the YouTube meatheads get this. And a couple of the joke things that I put up on social media. If your parents, you're 10 years old, 12 years old, and your parents have tried to homeschool you, okay? If your parent has got a 60 IQ, how much good is that going to be? Or if your parent is illiterate, and you're going to school here in the UK, and you're from Afghanistan or Pakistan, and English isn't your primary language, okay? We're going to have a generation of fucking idiots. That's the real reason they're trying to send people back to school to die from corona. Because is it better that they die from corona or a generation and a half or raise a fucking retard, moron, imbecile idiots? That's the real choice. Just imagine if some of you had been homeschooled by your illiterate mother or father. That's the real reason we're sending them back to school. That's the real reason. But it's too late. They can be. They don't have to go to school. They can abolish the school system. There was another question? Okay. The book of Dan. I feel like a preacher. Now, we're talking about chairman. Your chairman. I know this isn't your chairman. This is Robert Anderson, the former Secretary of the Treasurer, who was my first chairman at Great Western. I started with $820, right? He put up $180, $1,000, we formed the company. That's how it was. Former Secretary of the Treasury under Eisenhower. He was also Secretary of the Navy, but he was a big fucking hitter. I didn't have to explain about him. Your chairman, at the very least, you're not going to have to explain about. Does everybody understand explain about? Bob Anderson. And I'll never forget, I'm sitting in his living room in Dallas, Texas, and his son had just come back from school, and he says, Dad, I've decided to go to Hardin Simmons Bible College because it's close and I want to be here with my mother who's dying of cancer. And so Bob Anderson, in the articulate old Texas way, says, well, let's think this through, boy. Now, what other schools you've been accepted to? Harvard, Yale, Princeton. What most people don't remember is all those schools started as divinity schools, Bible colleges, 300 or 400 years ago. He said, now Hardin Simmons Bible College is a great school, but you're going to have to explain about it the rest of your life. You go to Harvard, you don't have to explain shit. You want your chairman and your board members, you don't have to explain about. Now, who did he rob? Now, his offices were in the penthouse of 30 Rockefeller Plaza, New York, because he did a deal with old man Rockefeller, got a big fee of several $1 million. He says, no, he says, I would rather have permanent office space. And at that time, Rockefeller Plaza wasn't full, so he got the penthouse. So my first offices were the penthouse of 30 fucking Rock, because my chairman's offices were there. There he is with Eisenhower. There he is on the front page of the Time magazine. And there's my other buddy, Governor Conley, was also Secretary of Treasury. He wasn't on my board, but he knew me and I knew him. And I played golf with him. I've seen the bullet hole in his leg, the magic bullet hole that got in his leg from God knows where. Now there's Governor Carey, who was on my board, the former governor of New York on the left-hand side, sitting next to President Ford. And there is Kerry, Trump, and old man Trump. And you wonder why I was successful. Because I've never been afraid to punch above my weight class. Everybody understand what that means? I went to the Onassis. And I saw the little shit walking around. Who's that little shit over there? That's Konstantin Gratsos, the CEO of Onassis Group. I made it my business to meet him. And he became like a a second or third father to me. Same with Governor Kerry, same with Governor Conley, same with Bob Anderson. And these are the kind of people. And when that doesn't work, then you fall back on prayer. I cover that base. I cover all the bases. I have about 200 plus nuns every day praying for me. And about 50 priests, 40 or 50 brothers, a couple of cardinals. I cover all the motherfucking bases. Who's next? That's it. Thanks, Kat.